Okay, so we're ready to actually move on with the build part of this video. And this shipment, this is shipment number 31. So if you guys are curious on what comes with this, just like I did for everything going all the way back to the first shipment, I do a separate video for the build and a separate video for the unboxing. So we're going to put all this stuff aside for a moment. As you can see, stage 119, this is what we're going to need, and we'll get to this later. But the first thing we need to do is I want to get the primary hull. Let's put the primary hull out here. Because see, I'm confused about something. The last video that we did, we ended up putting the battery pack in. And let me show you guys right over here. Let me see, you guys see right here in shipment 30, we put this in and we put the battery pack in. Well, I was wondering why we got another battery pack. And according to the instructions, actually, let me put the light on. So according to the instructions, that other battery pack we got, now I was wondering what that was going to be for. I didn't know if this would have been for the base. But you can see how we're going to put it into that part. And eventually, this is going to go in this section. See, we already put the other side in. We already did the battery pack. And unless I did something terribly wrong, I don't have any other free wires that would hook up to another power supply. See, we've already got the power supply. Everything on a primary hull, and this is a separate switch, but everything on a primary hull works through this battery pack. So I don't know what the second one would be for. I don't know if I did something wrong and there are two battery packs that should power the boards, but I don't have another. Let me show you guys. They have that right there. They have another wire that's free for the power supply, and I don't have that. I don't have any other lead that's going to the circuit boards that would be for a power supply. So I'm not quite sure if I did something wrong or I really messed this up or what the deal is. But since I don't have a lead, I'm not going to put that battery pack in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to save it, and should there ever be a problem with this one or the one in the beneath the battle bridge, because it's the same battery pack, I'll just keep it in case of an emergency. So the entire primary hull, mine anyway, is going to run on one power pack. Again, I don't know if this was something that I did wrong, but I don't have another lead for it. So let's put this back on. So that's what we're going to do. We're not going to put the other power pack in. We're just going to put the plate, and then the magnets will hold it in place. So let's go ahead and get this out of the bag. So what this is going to do is, you can see how this is going to go on just like that. And we're going to use the FM screws to hold it in place. And we're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to need 6 of them. And again, I don't have the battery pack in here because either I really messed up really bad or there was a typo in the instructions. Either way, mine is only going to have the primary or a single power pack for the primary hull. Alright, so again, I'm not going to put the battery pack in only because I don't have a cable to connect it to. So that's all set. So once we've finished that, that was pretty much it. Now we're going to go to stage 120, and I'm going to show you guys what it's going to look like when we finish. And that's going to be held in place with the magnets. And look at that, guys. She's closed in on both sides. So let me flip her around. And when I tell you this thing has to weigh over 10 pounds, I'm not exaggerating, because it's really, really heavy. Alright, so that looks good. We got both sides are actually closed in. I love it. So we have the you can see now, using a sharp craft knife, carefully separate the screw cover hole, or the screw cover sprue. And we actually did that already. So that's all done. So now we're ready to move on to the decals. And I want to go over the decals a little bit. I want to speak to you guys about this. Now, this thing, when it's all said and done, is extremely expensive. You're looking at somewhere around $1,800 for it. And this isn't a gripe session. I'm not going to complain about the price. I knew what it cost when I got it. I wanted it. It's the Enterprise. One thing I do have an issue with, though, is the way that the company decided to cheap out on the decals. Something this expensive, up until this point, everything has been painted or screened on, and all the details have been nice, from the Bussard collectors to the secondary hull. Everything has been screened on, looking great. And then it comes to the registration. So the registration is going to go right about here. Now you can see there are plates, because we did separate plates for the whole entire hull. You can see where all of them got screwed into the frames. They were like pie wedges, and we created the bottom. Then we ended up putting these plates on. Then we put the windows, we put the escape pods, and we go all the way out. And around the edge we have a rim that keeps the plates held together, the top and the bottom. But when it comes to the registration, on the bottom, you can see where it's going to go. There are a little bit of separation, so I can understand why they didn't do the why they didn't screen the registry numbers on, because they might not line up. But you know what? I would rather have like a sticker, a peel and stick sticker to go on this, as opposed to the water slide decal. Because the water slide decal, it's going to go on, but there are little gaps, and it's not all level. As I went back and I tightened everything to try to make it as level as possible, but there are a couple of plates that are just slightly above the other, not by much. And I thought it was something that I did wrong, but even when you look at through the build, all of the magazines, you can see on the model they used to photograph, it's the same way. There are little separations, and some of the plates are higher than the others. In this instance, they have the registry markings that are going to go right in front of where the phaser emitters are. The transporter emitters. So what that's going to do is, I'm going to use a little bit of well, let me tell you the plan first. They give you two, and there's a reason they give you two, because these are water slide decals, and it could just turn into a real mess. But what I did was I went ahead and I scan these into the computer. And eventually what I want to do is I want to put them on a little more solid sticker to put onto the model. But what I am going to do, for the sake of demonstration, to use what they gave, I'm going to use the water slide decals on the model to technically finish it off. But that's what I'm going to do. Later on I'm going to reprint them, because I did scan them in high resolution. I think I used 1200 DPI, and I scanned it as a PDF format. And what I want to do is I want to take them and I want to print them out on a much better kind of sticker that I can use to put it on. You know, I would much rather have a template and just have me paint it. I think that would be the best route. That's really cool. I'm going to try to see if I can get a template of this. That way there, I can just paint it. That would be so much better to do. It would look a lot better. But anyway, for now, we're going to use the decals. So let me show them to you. And they also have the little lines that are going to go on either side where the impulse engines are. But what they want us to do first is the registry markings. So they want us to do the top ones first. So I think the first thing I should do is get the water and get everything ready. So what I did was I got a little bit of tepid water, and what I did was I put a drop of dishwashing fluid in it. Now what that's going to do is it's going to break the surface tension and make the water penetrate the decal a little bit better. So when it comes to the location, it's going to go right here, right between the windows in front and the transporter emitters. So we're going to do the bottom section first. And that would be these. And if you notice, they give you two. And I think I understand why they give you two, because, well, it's pretty cheap. And it looks like I don't have to cut all the way to the edge, because it looks like this will slide right off the way it needs to. All right, so we're going to put this back. So once it's wet, we're going to put it just right there to set. So let me put the water aside. You can see we have the micro set. And we have the micro sol. So the micro set will help slide it around. This is actually my ochre brush. Okay, we're going to use this. We don't need to put a ton of it, just a little bit. And I want to make sure not to get it in the cracks. Just like this. And the only reason we're putting it on is just because we may need to slide or adjust the decal once it's down. Looks like the line, the dash, is going to go somewhere in between. Somewhere in between the emitters. So right about like that. And again, we needed to see how it needs to go over just a bit. So we have the micro set. Just like that. Let's try doing it like this. I want to get all the moisture out. So that looks pretty good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take the microsol, and what this is going to do is it's going to set it. And it's going to make the decal look like it was painted on. So let's dry the brush from the micro set. And we'll put some of the microsol on. And we're going to brush it on. Make sure there are no creases or air bubbles in it. Just like that. And basically that's it. So let me show you guys what it looks like. Because she's so big. Actually, I want to dry off some of the extra. I just don't want it getting inside anywhere where it's not supposed to be. There. And once that's set, the microsol will set it in, and it'll form to the surface of the model. And like I said, it'll look like it was painted on. Again, I'm not a big fan of the water slide decals, not for this model anyway. So what we're going to do is we'll flip her around, and we're going to do the top now. So we're going to put it in the water. We're going to let it soak for a couple of minutes. Make sure it's thoroughly saturated. And if the bottom is dry enough, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of clear coat just on the decal. So I think what I'm going to use is the Vallejo. I'm going to use the matte varnish, just enough to cover it. So I want to take a little bit of the microset, and again, not a lot, just enough so that we can actually slide it if we need to slide it around. And again, that's why we put this on, so we can actually move it. Yeah, that looks about good. That looks good. So what I want to do now is we're going to wipe off the excess micro set. Get the moisture. We're going to put a little bit of microsol on. Again, not a lot, just enough to saturate it. Make sure there are no bubbles. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually dry the excess microsol around the decal. There. So let me show you guys the way she looks. So that's in the right position. Let's flip it over. And this looks dry. So what I want to do is now we're going to put a little bit of the Vallejo. You know what? This might be just enough. Okay, so we're going to take a little bit. Let's shake it up just a little bit. And let's put a little bit in here. Again, we don't need a lot for this. A little bit. And by George, this might work out fine. The finish onto the decal. I would spray it normally, like I would put it all over the whole model, but I'm doing this for demonstrative purposes, depending how this ends up lasting, because more than likely this isn't going to last or something will happen to it. If it does last, wonderful. If this would have been like a regular model, of course I would have sprayed the entire thing a matte finish. But with this kind of model, that's not what I'm going to do. So this is eventually going to dry, and the decal has the microsol that's going to set it in place, and it has the clear coat, and that's a matte finish, so it won't be shiny when it dries. So let's do the other side, and we could think about putting her together for the last time. And we're going to go all the way to the edge. There. I'm going to make sure everything is covered. And it is. So, again, that was the Vallejo matte finish. Okay, so we actually closed in the primary hull. We put on the decals, and we actually used the set. We set them in place, and we put the clear coat on. See, that's why I don't want water slide decals on a model like this. Trying to get them to stay on is a nightmare. And I don't want nothing to happen to the top, so while this dries, we have to put it literally like this, just so nothing happens to it. That's exactly why I didn't want to put water slide decals on. Okay, so we're going to hold off on doing those other decals. What they are is they're just little lines that go on the side, as you can see by that. And what I'm going to do is, we'll do it in a later video. When I update the stickers, when I print them out, and I figure out what to do, we're gonna put these on. Or even if we still have these on in a later video, I will have them on. I just want this to dry perfectly before we put more on, because I don't want to rest this anywhere. What I'm going to do is we're going to set up the base, and we're going to set the ship up. So you can see we're going to put the nacelles onto the secondary hull, which we already did, and we're actually going to put it on the base. So let's go take her over to her new home, and we'll set her up. So the base itself comes with a cardboard sleeve, and it's got a peel and stick. Now I have done a video on this showing you guys how to set it up and an unboxing on it. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to just place it on the base to give you kind of an idea of what it's going to look like. So I have to have it in my little work area in the workroom, because it's just it's so clumsy, and the saucer section weighs so much. The primary hull, it's so front heavy. We just got to make real sure that nothing tips her over. But you can see all sides of the base. Star Trek The Next Generation from Hero Collector. And again, when I do the finished video, we'll do a video of the finished product, and I'll give you my thoughts on the whole build series. And what we'll do is, she'll be in a different location, and she'll have all the little touch-ups on her. And when she's got more of a permanent home, I'll show you guys. We'll start doing the introductions with her, as well as I'll light her up, and we'll do some fun with green screen. But my friends, thank you so much for watching the build. I appreciate all the kind words. And until the finished video for the series, my friends, I'll talk to you soon.